have approval from everyone?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so no objections. Okay, so the minutes from 7/19 are approved, and then we also have the minutes from August 2nd. Any objections to approving those minutes? Hearing none, those minutes are approved. Any discussion on the minutes? I know we went from like verbatim to almost nothing, and Deborah had to redo them. So.
And for the record, we do have the barely there and the incredibly long minutes if anybody needs to see the long ones.
Okay, but for
We just
moving
didn't send them
forward,
out.
is everyone comfortable with the summary?
Yes.
Okay. Councilmember Coombs, you're good with that? And Councilmember Jurenski?
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, y'all, I need to switch devices real quick, or maybe not. I just need to.
Okay. All right, and we'll wait for Councilmember Coombs. The first item, well, actually the only item we have is the Citizen Committee ordinance.
Did we lose Coombs?
I don't. Councilmember Coombs, are you there?
She said that she had to switch devices really fast.
Okay.
I thought she said never mind at the same time.
Oh. I don't know.
I'm with technology.
Oh yeah, you're our IT guy.
Old habits die hard.
Okay, I'm gonna go and see if she's stuck somewhere else. So hold on. Okay, Cecilia, I don't know if you can hear me, but when I click on participants, I'm not getting the same screen as I got before.
It's because Adrian is the host now. He jumped on.
Oh, okay. So maybe he can add Coombs as a panelist.
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
Are we still? We're still waiting.
I think so.
Okay, sorry about that, y'all.
There we go.
Had joined on my phone and it died. So I am now on my laptop. Sorry about all the issues today. But what we have is pretty much a fairly straightforward, just we should be seeking input of members of the public on changes that we want to make to the charter ahead of doing so. And this is an opportunity to do so above and beyond the participation that we would get from a public hearing. It allows us to have a dedicated group of community members who will go through the whole charter and who will also review the items that we put forward to make sure that they are in agreement, or if they're not, just to kind of give us feedback on the items that we put forward for changes. So that's the idea behind this. The composition was just kind of based off of other committees trying to make it not too large, but not too small, and make sure we had an odd number. So if there are any changes that folks want to make to that composition, that's totally fine. And that, like, one thing that we put in there, just thinking it would be good to have the voice of the youth who have to live with this charter on longer than the rest of us do. We did put in a youth member, but if folks don't want to do that, one reason that sometimes clerk's office staff don't want to do that is because then it can make it harder to fill all the positions if there's not someone who meets that criteria. So that would be the consideration against having a youth member. The consideration for is, as I said, this is going to be their charter longer than it's going to be ours. So that's one question. And then the other question, which we talked a little bit about before, was the question of whether or not to have this be something that just meets every 5 years and the council reviews the charter every 5 years, or if this is something that is permanently constituted and gives an annual report in case there's anything that council needs to change. And I am very open on both of those questions. This is just a proposal, so I am happy to hear everyone's feedback.
I have a question to staff. It seems like we're having a really difficult time in the city keeping, retaining employees, hiring employees. I know we have departments that have vacancies, and we have over, God, do we have 30 committees right now? I mean, we have over 20 for sure. I'm just wondering on the availability of staff to take on another committee, which I assume is going to be in the evening.
Mayor Pro Tem, I'm not quite certain who you were directing.
Well, I don't know, is Jim Twomley on the line, or any deputy city manager? Roberto?
No, I'm sorry, they are not on the line right now.
Okay. Yeah,
I'll run down the hall and see if someone can join if you'd like.
Yeah, I just have a big concern. We have some committees that people are not attending. Definitely, I think the youth commission sometimes has some attendance issues as well. Any other comments on that, on staffing from our committee members?
Mayor Pro Tem.
Go ahead.
I don't have.
Durante.
Thank you. I don't have anything to say about staffing, but I guess my concern is I think that we're kind of seeing a growing increase of some other committees that I personally feel are kind of overstepping their boundaries a little bit, and I think we've seen some ramifications of that. So I don't think that I'm supportive in just creating another committee. I do see what you're saying with staffing. We have all of these vacant positions. We have a number of vacancies on other committees that we can't even fill. So why would we create another one? I guess.
Other comments?
Yeah, Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, go ahead, Councilmember Marcano.
Thank you. If I'm not mistaken, we recently received an update at PR Plus that showed that our committees are actually filling up. I think Katie, Cecilia, and others have done a really great job of reaching out into our community to get those vacancies filled. Nor have we heard about, staffing difficulties with the committees that we do have. So I'm not really that concerned about that. Obviously, if staff has a different opinion, I'd like to hear that when we get someone from management on the call. And I will say, especially as it regards to the city charter, I think this is exactly where we want a committee to be weighing in, seeing as any changes to the charter come from, have to be approved directly by the residents of our city. We can propose things, but they're the ones that have to sign off. And I think getting their feedback ahead of time and having public hearings on this is the prudent thing to do so that we're not wasting time.
Mayor Pro Tem, this is Katie. If I can just
Katie.
jump in on the viewpoint from the city clerk's office. I know that one of the discussions that we've been having is regarding staff capacity
Well,
for
everybody has
supporting
problems
boards and
anyway.
commissions.
So even if
Deborah,
Deborah, you're unmuted.
can.
You're unmuted.
Hang on.
We're trying to listen to Katie.
Okay, yes, so one of the issues that we've been reviewing is staff capacity as it relates to supporting boards and commissions. I know that some of them have been having a problem with being able to give them the full amount of support that would be needed. We have been filling up more vacancies on the boards and commissions with the outreach that we've been doing. There are still some, of course, additional vacancies on some of the boards and commissions, but I just wanted to put that out there. And then we do have over 32 as of right now, just for some background information as to your question, Mayor Pro Tem.
I mean, I get wanting the input, but honestly, the charter is extremely complicated. And I personally think this is our job to make, bring forward proposals to change the charter. I'm not in favor of a committee. I think there's other ways to get input. And, we're supposed to have a public hearing, and that would be one way for them to give us input. I don't see the reason for having another committee, especially for a charter committee this complicated. It's like the rules committee. I can't even imagine having, a citizen committee on our rules.
Can I respond?
Sure.
Okay. So that's why I had left it open to this can be something that only meets when we're reviewing the charter, is because we don't really need a standing committee that has to be constantly filled. However, I think that trying to get feedback from constituents without having folks that are going to dedicate themselves to really looking through the entire charter means that essentially they're only going to be able to tell us what we tell them, or things related to what we tell them, which creates a situation where council really controls the narrative and the information around a document that dictates everybody's lives and how our government functions and how it serves people. And so I do think that a public hearing is useful to get some information, but I think that there's real value in having a group of folks that actually review everything in depth, instead of just responding to whatever we put out there, and review it on their own and let us know if there are things that they want to change. Charter review commissions are pretty common and actually harder to establish. So the reason for doing this committee as something that would be constituted only when council is reviewing the charter, that we can write it that way instead of the way it's written, is to avoid having to go through the complicated process of running an election for a charter review commission, which is what state statute would require as an alternative for the process that we're doing. And so, yeah, this is just a way to simplify what otherwise is a pretty complicated process and still make sure that we're getting robust and dedicated community feedback. Again, I'm very open to having it be something that only meets when this committee is meeting, essentially, not at the same time currently, but only meets during time periods when this committee is meeting. So if council has an ad hoc charter committee, then this committee would be constituted versus having it be an annual ongoing committee that staff have to continue to staff and to provide support for. And staff are already going to be generating information for this ad hoc committee. So I do wonder if some of the information that gets generated for us generally then gets passed on. And again, as far as filling the vacancies, that's one of the reasons why we didn't make it as big as some of the committees that are having trouble filling vacancies. Because my understanding, and Katie can clarify this if it's not correct, is that it's mostly the committees that are very large that are still not full.
honestly, I don't even know who would want to be on this committee. It is really complicated. It's, you know, the language is very, I mean, at this point, you'd want to have developers on it. You'd want to have a whole host of people, you know, that it would affect. And I personally I'm not in favor of it. I'm fine with the public hearing, doing some outreach to get people to make, you know, to have input, but personally, I'm not in favor. So right now, Councilmember Jurenski, I think you voiced your opinion. Have you changed your mind? Are you in support?
I'm not in support of this at this time, no.
Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
I had spoken with Councilmember Lawson and Councilmember Marcano as we were trying to get both this committee and the potential citizen committee up and going before this committee was constituted. So is Councilmember Lawson on?
She's not on the meeting today. She was not able to make it. I spoke to her and she was very conflicted on having a committee. She thought it was the public hearing that we were really looking at for the public engagement.
Okay, well, I would rather take it forward and have the conversation because I do think that, again, there's value in having the public input. And I'd like to have this conversation on the public record in a forum that people are actually watching.
Okay. All right. So you'll take it forward to a study session?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That works. So we don't have any other business for this meeting. We probably need to set a date for the next one. Councilmember Marcano, you still had, I think, a few proposals to bring forward.
Yes, ma'am. We should have at least one of those ironed out by our next one.
Okay. Does everybody want to take a look at their calendars? And I know we were trying to keep them on Tuesdays.
And I do know Councilmember Lawson had one that she wanted to bring forward unless she's changed her mind.
Yeah. I don't know if she has hers ready yet, but we can find out. How about
Tuesday, September 20th?
I'm actually at a conference, so I can't do the 20th. How about the 27th?
That works for me.
27th of September, right?
Yeah, at 2 o'clock, or we get, or sorry, 2:30. That was our original.
Yeah. That would work for me.
Okay, so September
As well.
27th. Oh, who's talking?
That was me. I just said that works for me.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Councilmember Coombs. Okay, so we're set, Deborah. 2:30, September 27th.
Yes.
Okay,
At 2:30.
And can we get the WebEx invitation out, you know, rather than the day of?
Yes, I'll get it out. I'll talk with Katie and Adrian and find out what happened and make sure that the fresh one goes out right away.
Okay, and then can you, in the meantime, we can do a hold calendar invite like we did?
Yes, I'll send a placeholder and it will
Okay.
be replaced. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think when mine disappeared, then I thought it was open. So if we're going to do the placeholder, keep it until we can flip it out with a WebEx invitation would be helpful.
Okay. Yep, I can do that.
Okay, very good. Okay, well, with any other further business? Okay, hearing none, I'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting. I appreciate everybody accommodating the new time, and sorry about the technical difficulties.
No worries. Catch you next time.
Okay, all right, thank you.